There are many paths to being a more robust slash influential syndicate player in Space Station 14. A lot of these will require making the most out of your telecrystals. You could just buy a C-20 and kill one or two people, no problem. However, there are methods on the station that will use a few of your telecrystals in order to, well, basically print infinite telecrystals worth of equipment. I would say, in my experience, most of the syndicate agents in the game who are incredibly robust or really good at influencing rounds are using these methods or techniques in order to multiply or get the most out of their valuable telecrystals. There are ways to get these tools for free. However, most successful syndicate agents are going to have things found in the suspicious toolbox. You don't need the suspicious toolbox in any way. The only reason why I'm suggesting this is because it gives you a guaranteed pair of insulated gloves, and it gives you a guaranteed welding mask slash flash resistance. It's not that you can't get any of this stuff elsewhere. This is just a guarantee, because you can't always get everything you want. Sometimes people won't be there at departments to print things out for you. Sometimes there'll be issues. Sometimes you really just want to get your tools right away and not have to delay longer. So what I'm saying is you really just need insulated gloves and some form of welding protection or flash protection, which are almost always the same thing. NG goggles, for example, aren't flash protection, but they are welding protection. Anyways, we're going to put our insulated gloves on, and you're just going to want to take all the tools because you never know when you're going to end up using them. In this case, we're going to use these tools. Cargo has the cargo request computer. They also have auto lace. These are important to us for multiple reasons. If you work in cargo, you obviously never have to worry about this. Now that I have insulated gloves, I can very easily hack into this department, especially because the front desk of cargo is often unmanned, and a lot of the time, that is where an auto lathe and a computer, a request computer, will be located. However, one of the other major prizes is also in the quartermaster's room. There are multiple ways for us to hack in this department. We can do it by hand, or we can use something like an access breaker to make it faster. The access breaker is actually going to serve as a two-part device here for the cargo request computer specifically. So if you want to be inconspicuous about it, you could just do something like this, crawl under the flap and crawl through. This gives you a little bit more of a sneaky way in and out, and of course people are going to hear that. However, I still have two uses of this authentication disruptor. The reason why I recommend you grab tools is because if you're breaking into the department, you're probably not going to want to use the devices here. Say you want to take the auto lathe with you. Well, that's really simple to do. You just screwdriver it and you crowbar it twice. If you crowbar it twice, you'll literally rip the board out. And for auto lace, you could probably just go to science and ask them to make this for you, but it is really easy to make an auto lathe part. You just need 4 modular parts. You can literally just take them with you and the glass, and all you need is steel and a low voltage cable, and you can remake this anywhere. So we're just going to grab this and just to use as an example later. We're also, in this situation, going to want the cargo request computer. We can also just easily dismantle this. So you just screwdriver it, and if you really can't remember the steps, I know knowing the steps will really help you. You can always do begin deconstruction. So after you screwdriver it, you crowbar it, then you crowbar it again, then you will wire cut it, then screwdriver, and then finally crowbar, and you will rip the board out. So then you can take the board itself. This will allow you to just go anywhere you want and make your own computer. This again is used through very common materials you can salvage or just take the parts with you. Very simple. And if you don't want to take the time to dismantle this, a lot of the times you could get straight to the quartermaster's bedroom with 3 uses of the authentication disruptor. So if you get all the way to their bedroom, you can just hack through all of their equipment here. If there is no quartermaster, you could probably just straight up steal the requisition digiboard, which is an objective on its own. So there's a lot of times you have to come here anyway for an objective. But what we really want here is we could consider taking the shuttle console board so we can see where the ATS is. But again, what we want here is the request computer board like we stole earlier. Now we are well along our way to basically become an unstoppable force. However, finding the ATS is not always easy. Just pretend I hacked this door. Finding the ATS can be difficult. The only real ways to see what's out in the space is to get access to something like a cargo shuttle console, a normal pilot console, or a mass scanner. Mass scanners are normally end up found sometimes in bridges, sometimes in engineering, but on Bagel, for example, the only real way I can look into space is in this cargo area. So I can always just look at these cargo shuttle consoles. There's actually multiple in the same room. If you came from space, you actually could have just crawled through without actually having to hack anything just to get a look at where the ATS is. For example, I can't actually see the ATS because the cargo shuttle wasn't moved, but in reality, it's going to be close to either the station or the ATS. It's pretty rare that people just fly this off in the middle of nowhere. So really, you just need to get a quick glimpse of where it's at, and I can see that the cargo out trading outpost is just a straight shot from arrivals. That is all I need. Of course, I'm sitting here explaining everything. In a real round, you could have done all this in maybe 20 seconds or less. And a lot of times, cargo is understaffed, they're not paying attention, or even if they report you, if you're hiding your identity, there's not much people could do to respond to you. And even if you get caught, you haven't committed any super major crimes yet. So it's a low risk for a very high reward in the end. Of course, you're going to want to do this in a different location, but just say I built the auto lathe right here. What you're going to want to do now is you're going to want to purchase an EMAG. If you successfully have stolen an auto lathe, this is worth the 5 telecrystals. So if you EMAG an auto lathe, what this does is it gives it a hacked inventory that lets you print out basic ammunition for basically every type of ammo in the game. I could print out ammo for stolen Lecters, I could print out shotgun ammo for a Bulldog or a stolen shotgun, say you're a bartender with the double barrel. You could print out Lecter magazines, you could print out 30 caliber magazines, you could print out Viper, you could print out MK58 mags, you could print out there's so much you could do. You could print out C20 mags, WT mags. There's just so much you can do here depending on what you end up stealing. And this is why it's important. We are going to end up going to the cargo ATS as well. If you can get your hands on a proto-lathe is normally only found in science, and emagging this can give you amazing potential. Emagging this gives you access to the security branch of stuff. So if science is later in the round, say there's incendiary ammo for printing. This uses plastic, but incendiary ammo is the best ammo in the game by far. You really can't do much to recover from being fully engulfed in flames in this game, especially if you're not somebody wearing a heavy like fire suit or something. And here you can even make weapons, like you can make infinite ammo advanced laser pistols. I know those aren't the highest DPS ever. You can make things like blast grenades if they're researched. You can make EMPs, flash grenades. There's just so much potential if you get access to a proto-lathe. And for example, since we're already here, we're already on Bagel. Bagel actually has a free proto-lathe board in the boardroom. This isn't that uncommon, so you don't even need to ask science to make you one, but typically scientists will just do stuff. You can get really far in this game by just asking for basic things. One innocent request at multiple departments is never that suspicious. It's a combination of things. For example, if I go to science and ask for an auto lathe board, and I go to cargo and ask for 3 stacks of steel, neither one of them are going to assume I'm using that auto lathe to print infinite bullets. Now we know where the ATS is, we need to get some form of EVA. However, since we have already purchased an authentication disruptor, we can save telecrystals immensely here without having to purchase our own jetpacks or anything. Every station has an EVA room, they're usually attached to the hops. Since we have the authentication disruptor, we can get in and out of this in seconds. You simply walk in, and EVA storages are actually all access, so you just grab an EVA suit. Of course, you can hack here quietly and not use your authentication disruptor if you want to be quieter. You can wait for power to be snipped. There are so many options in this game. This is not the only way of doing things. However, you could do this basically instantly. So I could grab my EVA suit, I could just toss it on. The helmet takes a second, so you could just pocket that, grab a jetpack, get the hell out of there, and within seconds, you're already gone. So I just walk away, put on my helmet. I have to stand still for 1 second to do that. No problem. I should have grabbed some oxygen. Just assume that I'm smarter than I am. You can put the mini jetpack on your belt slot. It's definitely important to have your hands free if you need to, but we're not really doing any combat. So now we are in the clear basically for our plans. This is perfect timing as well. Arrivals actually has a shuttle console on board. You can just walk in here and just click on this and look to get a layout of the map as well, like I was saying earlier. Obviously, don't do any more damage to the arrival shuttle, but that door isn't relevant for anything. Either way, that's just an option as well, but you're already going to be in cargo. You could probably just get a glimpse of it there. So now we could take the time to hack our way out. I would recommend just doing manual hacking, because if I authentication disruptor this, I'm going to bolt myself out. Again, to hack, it's really easy at this point. Just gonna multi-tool it to cover my tracks a little bit. I got lucky there. Just gonna crowbar in. And we could authentication disruptor, or just we'll save the charge, I guess. It's not too much of a rush at this point. And oh, too much UI. And there we go. They use the same wires, crowbar out, and we are free. We just have to fly in a literal straight line, and we'll end up on the cargo ATS. There's also, like, you could have just gotten a ride on the cargo shuttle. You could have hijacked it. Either way, though, doing this basically makes you untraceable and very, very difficult to find. I would also heavily recommend that you only fly in a straight line, because if you don't fly in a straight line, it can be very easy to reorient back to the station. In this situation too, you want to try to remember which way you need to fly back. So like, I need to just basically, I came in kind of like this. I need to go pretty much just straight back. You could also bring more devices or other ways to get back to the station easier than this. And of course, I'm not going to have access to get into here either. However, just like the previous doors, this is a 1-second process and requires even less hacking than before. Just need the screwdriver and the multi-tool and a crowbar to get in, which we would have purchased earlier, or getting these tools again is not that hard. Then you just crawl through the flap here, don't have to do more hacking. We are now in the clear to do anything we want. So you take your cargo request computer board, and here you actually don't even need to build a new computer. You could just break through these windows. These windows basically don't exist for durability. It takes 1 second to smash them. And since there's already a computer here that's a mass scanner, you can use this to get back home if you get lost. I would just honestly go to this computer because it's less useful. You just take it apart like the previous computer. There's probably not going to be anyone here. If there is somebody here, I'd recommend you wait before you do this. So we're just going to take apart the computer with the same steps as before. You got to rip the board out, crowbar it, then you just swap the boards, and you just reverse the process that you just did. And we have a functioning computer at this point. Now, it won't let me request anything I want. If cargo actually doesn't have any money, you can actually just purchase a lobbying bundle at this point, and it's definitely worth it because there is 30,000 spaces in here, and that's a quite a bit of money if they just for whatever reason don't have any. And you could just purchase yourself a ton of guns, infinite guns. You could buy guns, armor. You could buy things like clean nades to give yourself cover. You could buy stun batons. The sky is the limit when you have this much money. However, when I go to approve this, since I don't have cargo access, I need to actually hack this. Interestingly enough, you actually use the authentication disruptor here to break the access on this computer. So now when I order this, it's twofold. I will be able to approve it, and it won't actually notify anyone that I just purchased this WT550 crate. And instantaneously, the crate is here. You can then, at this point, use your authentication disruptor to open it. That's totally up to you. You can just break it open with like a baseball bat, whatever you ended up bringing. You have a lot of time to prepare in this game, but just for demonstration purposes, you can open this up. You have so much potential at this point. If you brought your if you brought a proto lace, you can print off instant ammo. You could have preemptively printed off instant ammo. If you brought the auto lace, same thing. You could just print off more ammo. But yeah, this is typically the two methods that people end up using, is either emagging auto lace, going to the cargo ATS and hijacking it essentially and using their funds directly. It's the sky's the limit with this type of stuff. There's a lot of ways you can go about doing this. If you're a cargo tech, an engineer, a scientist, somebody who just has access to a lathe in general, it gets even easier to do stuff like this. As a passenger, you're going to have to spend some TC. You need the authentication disruptor anyway if you're not cargo, or you need to steal the access and then deal with the fact that people can hear that you're requesting it and they're going to prepare for you. But you can do this stealthily without anyone even knowing. It's also a pretty common strategy for people to wait on the ATS at this point for a cargo tech to show up, and they're going to probably be unable to do anything about you. And if you just kill them instantly, they won't even be able to warn about you, so you can fly yourself back to the station. People come here and go all the time, but usually without any real weaponry or main force. Either way, this is just to give some tips and tricks of how you might see some guy have 30,000 mags of ammunition. You don't understand it, but this whole concept basically defeats the purpose of telecrystal, intentional or not. You can print off more ammo than the Nukies can get combined with all of their telecrystal. You can buy more guns and ammo better than Nukies equipment. Like the WT550 is hard to argue against as just being one of the best guns in the game. It's one-handed, has a good DPS, big magazine, good accuracy. It's great for space fighting because it again is one-handed. You can buy infinite amount of them here, infinite ammo. I think I've droned on long enough. I think you get the point. Good luck. Consider utilizing some of these techniques in your next antagonist round to be a little bit more of a successful loud antagonist. Players are normally not good in this game through actual mechanical skills through preparation, and if you didn't even know you could do any of this, well, it's probably not too surprising you can't get as far as some other antagonists. So use this if you want. If you want to have a better chance of fighting multiple people, you have to utilize something like this. Otherwise, it's really hard to keep fighting when you have run out of equipment. You can also even purchase things like meds here too. So good luck.